strategy because I appreciate the fact that Rita Palma recognizes that Bobby can't become president in the current system. But this strategy here to try and get Trump to win is just a little hazy to me. So she says here, if Republican voters accepted the fact, voters accepted the fact that New York, Maryland, all these blue states, most of the Northeast is going blue, why wouldn't we put our vote to Bobby and at least get rid of Biden? Give those 28 electoral votes in New York to Bobby rather than Biden. What's weird to me about this strategy, and look, it's her job to get votes to RFK, of course, so she's going to make this kind of attempt to do that. But if your whole point, if the whole ultimate point here is to get Trump to win, which it is, I'll finish the video, then why not just get the Bobby voters to vote for Trump? Yeah, and by the way, even if that were to happen, Trump is still not going to win, New York State. Like some of these states are just California. Like this attempt here to this is where a lot of this gets messed up. Is this assumption that these no affiliation voters at 23%, that they're all voters for Bobby Kennedy, when they're not voting for RFK. This isn't. You can't assume every single voter who is not a Democrat or Republican is now a RFK voter. That's insane. So, but yeah, in this scenario, sure, if every single non-affiliated voter and every single Republican voted for Donald Trump, yeah, I guess Trump would win in New York. But that's not, that's both not possible, but also doesn't make any sense because the no affiliation voter is all over the place. They're not all for RFK. It's a ridiculous strategy. But it's worth noting that this campaign spokesperson is very directly saying, I want Trump to win.
And we all know how that works, right? 270 wins the election. If you don't get to 270, if nobody gets to 270, then Congress picks the president. So who are they going to pick? Who are they going to pick? If it's a Republican Congress, they'll pick Trump. So we're rid of Biden either way. Does everybody follow that? Okay.
Yeah, I follow. It makes very little sense. But then again, I am following it. But it's worth pointing out, Palma is also a local anti-vaccine mandate activist. Kind of tells you why she's so pro-RFK, why a lot of people working for the campaign are pro-RFK. This is their whole identity is this. But there is some pushback from the Kennedy campaign. Now, we could speculate as to why they're pushing back. I think it's clear. They don't want this to hurt the potential that RFK may have in getting people who don't like Trump. So if people don't like Biden and don't like Trump, but they don't like Trump more, or I should say they hate Trump more, they want to be able to get those voters. But if they hear this, if those voters hear this, they may think, okay, I'm going to waste my vote for a campaign that wants Trump anyways. So Palma confirmed to CNN the legitimacy of the video in a statement to CNN. Kennedy campaign spokesperson Stephanie Speer downplayed Palma's role in the campaign and said her comments do not reflect the campaign strategy. Quote, Rita Palma is a ballot access consultant responsible for scheduling volunteer shifts for her upcoming signature collection drive in the Empire State. She is not involved in electoral strategy nationally or in New York. This was not a campaign event. Palma was speaking as a private citizen, and her statements in no way reflect the strategy of the Kennedy campaign, which is to win the White House with votes from former Trump and Biden supporters alike. So this, it's weird to say, but Rita Palma is actually more rational than Stephanie Speer here, because Stephanie Speer is pretending that Kennedy can become president by getting both votes. Kennedy, RFK is not going to win. Not because it's RFK, but because he's an independent running in a system that is first past the post and electoral college. That is why he's not going to win as an independent. It's because he is neither a Republican or a Democrat. That is why he can't win. So you could argue here that Rita Palma is actually the more rational of the two because she recognized that RFK can't win. But to refute what Stephanie Speer here is saying, Palma is listed as the point of contact for multiple petition training events on the Kennedy campaign website, featuring her official Kennedy campaign email address. If Rita Palma was a nobody, just some ballot access consultant, she wouldn't have an official Kennedy campaign email address. So this is somebody who works for RFK Jr., clearly. Now, from Politico here, Spears said Palma was never a staffer with the campaign, only a consultant. As I said, that was against what Palma is saying. But in the video, Palma said the campaign had hired her. Quote, I got a call from the campaign and they were going to hire me as their New York state director. And I said, okay, I want to take the job, but I'm going to tell you right now, this is part of my messaging, that we want to get rid of Biden in New York State. If I'm allowed to preach that, if I'm allowed to get that message out there, then I will definitely work for the campaign. And my boss said, okay. I believe her. She wouldn't have an email address from the campaign otherwise. So this is, look, maybe they didn't tell her, hey, sure, you can work towards this, but don't tell people that in a public event where they can record you. But sure, work towards that without being open about it. And maybe she didn't realize that. But clearly that is, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this is really going to hurt the RFK campaign, because I don't know how much support they were getting otherwise. Look, I know he's polling around 12% nationally, but he's polling from both sides. Like, there is, in this video, Rita, discusses how RFK is polling more from Biden, but there is polling showing he's polling more from Trump. So I think it's a toss-up. I think he's kind of polling from both, and it doesn't really swing, in either direction strongly. But to show you, this isn't, what Rita said there in that video isn't really any different than how RFK has been positioning himself with Biden and Trump. RFK Jr., this is just last week, said that Biden is more of a threat to democracy than Trump, the guy who tried to overthrow an election. And the reason he said this too is also insane, completely insane. So Kennedy admitted, so this is during a CNN interview, that Trump tried to overthrow the election 4 years ago. And he said it's appalling that he cannot defend it. But RFK argued, that's nothing compared to Instagram suspending his account in 2021 for spreading conspiracy theories about the COVID vaccines, which, of course, Vanity Fair is writing this part out. But I watched the interview. This is what he argued, that Biden used his power to pressure Instagram to ban him from the platform. And because of that, that is worse somehow than a president trying to overturn an election. The banning of the RFK account, which Biden, by the way, the White House did not tell Instagram to ban RFK. They did suggest that, hey, these social media account or platforms should try to root out disinformation, lies about COVID vaccines, but they didn't go to Instagram and say, hey, ban RFK right now. Like that. And by the way, let's say they did. Would that be worse than a president trying to overturn an election in multiple ways and then launching or helping to launch an insurrection at the Capitol? Would the banning of RFK's account on Instagram be worse than that? I hope you would agree that that's ridiculous. But this is what RFK was trying to argue. Quote, the question was, who was a worse threat to democracy? And what I would say is, I'm not going to answer that question. Yet he goes on to answer it, saying, but I can argue that President Biden is, because the First Amendment. So I'm not going to answer that question. But here I am answering the question, saying that Biden is, because Instagram banned me, because Joe Biden told them to. Complete nut job. So to end on here, this is Rana Epting, executive director of MoveOn, who have been very aware of what the RFK campaign has been trying to do even before this, saying, quote, we're going to let folks know he can't win, but he can help Trump win. We're going to let folks know that he said he supported abortion bans. We're going to let folks know that his vice presidential pick, Nicole Shanahan, an attorney, calls IVF one of the biggest lies And we're going to let folks know that his dark money super PAC is being funded by Trump donors.